Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another Nacho Tuesday. Here I have Filip here with Growth Era. And without further ado, we'd love if you could introduce your company and what you guys do over there.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Thanks for having me. I've been looking forward for this for, I guess, over a month now
I
since
know, right?
we
We
started
finally got
planning
it
for
on.
it.
Yeah, we got it on the books
Y-
finally.
Yeah, it was a lot of vacations and planning in the middle of it. But yeah, happy to finally be here. When it comes to Growth Era, who we are is basically we're a sales enablement company. We try to focus on several items when it comes to business growth for our customers, primarily in the B2B space in the US and Canada. Those three right now are, well, first and foremost, sales development, so new lead generation, meeting and appointment scheduling, and then the other two services that we have are pipeline management. So we try to tackle that. If you know, when salespeople are infamous when it comes to not updating their CRM, when they're not following up properly with prospects because of busy schedules and everything, and just taking care of the CRM, the data hygiene inside there. And then we're also a HubSpot partner, so we tend to do the classic onboarding, implementation of the CRM, and any additional services related to HubSpot. So yeah, that's briefly about us.
Awesome. I hope you guys listed yourself as a HubSpot expert in your service provider marketplace listing. We could check
I
that.
think we did.
Oh, you did? Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay. So anybody working with HubSpot, definitely talk to these guys here. And I definitely know what you mean when it comes to, salespeople organizing all the many conversations that they have going. It's a tough job, right? I mean, you're talking to, hundreds of people a month, sometimes even. It's just becomes a blur at some point. So just making sure that you
Oh yeah.
you got to organize that CRM properly to stay ahead of it. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why we have that service offering in the first place is because we saw a need for ourselves. So we tested it out. I think it was early last year, 2023,
Mhm.
when we started, and we just saw tremendous results. Everything was conversion rates were increasing. We saw a lot of people who went in, they went into the deal on hold stage and they gone dark. Suddenly they reemerged. So we just, we couldn't have done it without our team. So we started taking that service and trying to commercialize it. And yeah, so far it's been working even better for some of our clients than for ourselves, I can say.
That's great. Yeah, definitely learn by doing, right? That's the best way to figure out if something really
Oh
works.
yeah.
Get out of the realm of theory and McKinsey consultants, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. The building the plane while you fly it type of type of thing.
Yeah, as a startup guy, I've been through it plenty of times, so definitely appreciate it. So, how did you get to where you're at in your career? So, what got you over to growth there, and what did you do before then?
Yeah, it's a very interesting story. I tend to tell it quite a lot, honestly, to friends, to new colleagues, to anyone really. So it was, I think, back in 2018. One of my best friends and me, we were roommates at that time. And when this company started, it was really, like you said, just a startup. Everyone was working from an Airbnb, both of the co-founders. And my best friend, he was actually unofficially the first employee over there. And so when he would come back home from work, he would tell me all of these amazing stories. Oh, I spoke to this president of this huge organization, to this CFO. This is what I learned today. Just going into all this business development side of things. And it got me really intrigued. And at that point, we were both kind of like under the self-development stuff. So, once you get into the self-development waters, then you never really go back. So I was very curious. I always wanted to receive passive income, to learn more about business, about strategy, sales being one of those things that is very self-developmental, right? I mean, you pretty much write your own check.
Yep.
So that got me every day. It got me super hyped up to listen to all of these things, and I was like, okay, the next time you guys have a project or a client or whatever, since it was still a startup, there was like really not that big of a direction at that point. uh Call me. I want to try myself out and see how and if I'll like it. And then I think like two months later, something like that, I pretty much got the call, ran kind of like a short interview. I mean, again, it's startups, at a certain point, you kind of like find who you can and work off of that. But I was really ready to start working, starting off as an SDR, sales development rep. That was beginning of 2019. We had tremendous results and very, very good success early on, just early growth. And yeah, that kind of catapulted me into much more, much bigger roles inside the organization. I was at one point an SDR, an account executive, a customer success manager, just working off multiple things within the company. So yeah, that's pretty much how my story with Growth Era started.
Sounds like a meritocracy, and you kind of you did the work and moved your way up. That's a great story there. Great.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
How many people are over there at the company now?
Right now we're about 70-ish, I think. We're typically running about either 1 to 2 new training groups each month. We're at a very, very good growth stage at the moment. So we're just getting new clients, and those new clients need people to service them. So we tend to hire more people as of recent. So right now about 70. If you ask me 2 weeks from now, it's going to be maybe 75. It really depends. Yeah, it really depends.
Awesome. So I guess might as well pick your brain for this because you seem to be an expert in it. How would you
Sure.
recommend for SaaS companies to set up a business development strategy, say, especially if they're in an early startup mode? What would you recommend for them?
Sure. So I guess I'm going to speak mostly on outbound right now, since that's where most of our expertise lies in. But really, I would say just run a multi-channel sequence. Um, that's what we've seen that works the best. There's always, I guess, a bias towards one channel. Some people prefer phone, some people prefer email, some people prefer LinkedIn. Just speaking solely from a B2B standpoint. We've also dabbled into trying to make Reddit work, Twitter work, but results haven't worked that well. There is also some success with just SMS, with just texting, but I think that comes at a certain point where the prospect is just more comfortable speaking with you once you have established some connection with them. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of bias on each channel. What I typically see, mostly with our competitors, they try to stay with either 1 or 2 channels, and most frequently that is email and LinkedIn. But what we've seen is the most success comes when utilizing all 3 channels. I would even say the phone is probably the best one as of right now, with all of the regulations that mainly Google and Yahoo put up on just spam filters for email, and probably Microsoft will follow suit very soon. And also LinkedIn back in 2021. It's interesting because 3 years ago, LinkedIn was by far the best channel to do outreach. I think like 90% of the results that we've got for ourselves and for our clients, I know I used LinkedIn quite heavily. It was probably the best channel for outreach. But then they added restrictions on how many people you can connect with on a weekly basis. And then obviously everyone kind of learned that, okay, this person is going to pitch slap me
Yeah.
the moment I accept the connection.
Sometimes you could tell who they
Yeah,
are.
so
Like, this guy's just going to send me a sequence.
yeah, and LinkedIn is a social media, so it has to be more chatty. You need to chat with people. So I guess everything changed back in 2021 when all of these restrictions and everyone learned the game, and things kind of shifted back to phone, just being the most dominant one. Now, saying that it's not easy to set up everything properly. I guess all channels, not just one in particular. So there's a bit of a need for expertise when it comes to just new SaaS companies, startups. I would say that would be probably the number one challenge, just how to set everything up properly. But yeah, just don't neglect other channels. Use multiple channels of outreach to get to your customers.
Definitely, yeah. And TikTok's another great example too of like a platform where you can get a lot of
TikTok,
leads.
yeah.
We've been dabbling
Yeah,
in it.
you're
A
right.
lot of B2B companies really aren't there yet. But yeah, everything goes through its cycles, but marketers always figure out a way. We have to, right? It's our job. But I remember
Sure.
in the days of Facebook, even like when you actually posted on your Facebook page and it would reach pretty
Oh
much
yeah.
everybody that followed you and more. But now it's really just a pay to play scheme over there. So if you're not willing to put budget behind it, you're
Mhm.
really not going to reach anybody, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, that's actually a great point. And also another thing that I found is probably Facebook and TikTok. I don't know how I even forgot to mention TikTok. It's a huge platform at this point, but it tends to be more B2C related. Hell,
Mhm.
even Instagram we can put in this section as well. Strictly when it comes to B2B, I feel like just phone, email, and LinkedIn work best, and then
Mhm.
the other platforms maybe more geared towards B2C, I'd say.
And for SMS messaging, are you guys primarily using it for sales, like meeting follow-ups, like, hey, did you get everything you're looking for? Do you guys use that to kind of nurture people through the conversion pipeline? Or I mean, you're not doing like cold outbound, of course, right? For that, that could get a little intrusive. But
Yep.
how would you recommend people utilize SMS in a way
Yep.
that actually works, but also doesn't scare people away or annoy them?
Yeah, I mean, in general, we use tools right now to get people's direct phone numbers. So once we have an actual conversation with them, a good positive conversation, obviously, if they say, no, I'm not interested, or I don't want to talk to you anymore, we're not going to bug them.
Yeah.
But if you had a genuine conversation with someone and he seemed interested, but it's not the right time, then if they don't pick up the phone, just sending them a text message also works quite well. I've personally found, and also other people from our team as well. So just kind of like light touches in a way, like you said, follow-ups, kind of like maybe just kind of like in a nurture type of state. I would use SMS in that fashion.
Definitely. Yeah, that's what I've seen. I've seen that on the rise too. But yeah, if it's done the right way, it's, I think really effective. But marketers at some point will always overdo it. You know how we do. Um, but I guess how are you
I
guys
think I,
utilize?
I think I've seen just one final thought on this. I think I've seen a statistic somewhere that the open rate on SMS is by far the most than any other channel
Oh,
ever.
absolutely.
I think like probably more than 90% open rates when it comes to SMS text. So uh, that's a big statistic for marketers.
Yeah, it used to be at I think like 98% or something like that. Basically, if you're getting a text
Yeah,
from
98, 99.
it's trending down a little bit
Right.
because there is a little bit more marketing there, but yeah, I think it's above
Sure.
90% for sure.
Yeah,
What are you
absolutely.
guys doing in terms of like AI tools? Are you guys utilizing any artificial intelligence into your strategy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think I mean even before ChatGPT became a thing and just widely used, we've always fished for new sales tools in general. We tend to view ourselves uh, as kind of like um, both human and tech related as a company, and you can't work you can't do the magic without one or the other.
Mhm.
But I can even tell you right now. Our tech stack is maybe 10 to 15 sales tools at the moment. We're constantly looking for new things. But the ones that our team right now loves the most are probably Clay, Ocean, and there's this new tool that we're all hyped up called Hyperbound that we just recently got.
Oh,
It's
Hyperbound, I know those guys. We did an interview with them last week at Tool, and those guys have a great platform.
perfect. Yeah, yeah. I think we have a weekly meeting with the tool on Thursday.
Oh, cool. You
But
said
yeah,
hi.
I'm personally very hyped to start using it. It seems like it's a very interesting thing, just to practice your sales, and it can do, discovery meetings, it can do cold calls, and anything in between. But the other tools that I mentioned, Clay and Ocean, our team has found them very valuable when it comes to segmenting data, finding lookalike companies, just finding contact information, uh, just personalizing. The messaging when it comes to emails, cold call, pitch, everything really. It's just those two tools are very very good. So I can say a lot of positive things about them. But overall, I mean, I think everyone should utilize AI. I actually did a webinar on AI in sales. I think a couple of months ago, maybe 2 months ago. So yeah.
What are your thoughts about like comparing like some of those data collection sites, or I guess it's a complete marketing suite now, Apollo.io and ZoomInfo and some of those platforms?
Yeah, I mean, we're also a very heavy user of Apollo. We were partnered with them. I think we've used them for over 2 years at this point, 3 years, something like that. I'm personally very happy with them. And we've also been as part of their growth. They had, I think, back-to-back years with 100 million plus funding. I've seen over time how they've grown the team, added new features on their platform. Really, every new feature that they add is something complementary to what we need to do. So I'm personally very happy with that, because you get to keep everything in one platform and not use multiple things at the same time. ZoomInfo, I don't know too much. I know that they're very prevalent. There's a lot of companies out there who utilize ZoomInfo. We've just lightly used them in the past. And this is more than 3 years ago, so I can't say too much. I'm just speaking with one eye on what's happening on their front, but not, I'm not too knowledgeable to talk much more than that.
Yeah, I think Apollo is really kind of becoming the leader. And to your point, because they've kind of built that whole marketing automation platform together into one space. So they really understand their ICP, marketers and salespeople trying to, reach and engage with their potential clients. So they've really done a good job, I think, to your point, adding all those features that people are really looking for next that are their active users on that platform.
Yeah. I think for people who know what they want, Apollo it's a much better choice. I just know that ZoomInfo probably has a better reach, a bigger reach. They're a bigger organization. If I can compare them, I don't know if I should, but I like, it's like between Salesforce and HubSpot. Kind of like see ZoomInfo and Apollo being kind of like in that competition as well.
Yeah. I guess so. We talked about a lot of sales and business development trends for this year. Including artificial intelligence, how SMS is making a rise. What other trends do you see this year, continuing through 2024 and into 2025?
Yeah, so I was thinking a lot about this. I mean, just in general, the return of phone conversions. Just when it comes to pure outbound selling, I think that's one key thing. Now, I did mention it's been a couple of years since it's been trending back up, so I'm not too surprised at this point. But the other trend that I would say I'm more into and looking to see how it goes is AI. How will selling benefit with AI involved? I think we all know how buyers experience their buying process has been quite heavily influenced with the internet, with a lot of influx of information, with just adding more stakeholders than ever before. So people tend to, at least this is what I see, both for ourselves and for our clients when we do the pipeline management service, is that more people are involved, and more of those people tend to educate themselves on things. And a lot of times they don't do any their decision making is skewed based on some recency bias, or some piece of information that they'll read somewhere from an article that's probably not as credible. And I think there's going to be personally a return of more educative type of selling, where you get your information from an actual expert who is in the field, rather than on your own, or just by reading what's out there with all this content fatigue, if I can put it that way. I know LinkedIn is infamous as of recent with a lot of experts, or self-proclaimed experts. But yeah, I would say maybe that's something to look forward to. Just a change in how we experience selling in general, especially aided by experts, and more one-to-one communication than just finding out the things on your own.
Definitely, yeah. And there's always going to be some aspect of finding it out on your own as well, or at least the brand or the company putting a good foot forward in terms of offering educational materials for the people.
Oh, sure.
So like interactive demos, maybe tutorial videos, just, maybe onboarding FAQs and things to just kind of point them around the platform to show them how things work. If they want to self-serve and do it themselves too. But yeah, I have seen a lot of that as well too. People are kind of coalescing around the experts in the field, and they really look to them for
Hmm.
ideas on what to do next, right? So watching a webinar
Yeah.
interview with people like yourself that are in the field that know all the latest trends is probably worthwhile listening to.
Yeah, I mean, basically how I do my own research when it comes to even when I'm buying things on a personal basis, I tend to go and look over things from all across the spectrum, from people who support a certain product or service or what have you, to those that despise it and kind of like see everything in between. If all of the things that they're saying align, or there's the majority of the people align with how they experience the product or the service, then I kind of like give myself the thumbs up to buy, rather than just sticking on one person or one company and how they experienced it, because
Yeah.
they might not have had the best experience for whatever reason, or just try not to go into an echo chamber where everyone just preaches the same thing. But on the other side of the spectrum, there's actually a lot of different opinions. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point too. If you see like especially in like reviews too, if you see like kind of a consistent type of feedback, it's probably an actual big deal,
yeah.
as opposed to like one thing that somebody might mention, or maybe they had like one bad experience and it's a 1-star review instead of rationally it should be like a 3-star review, but they just
Yeah.
people get emotional. It's either 1 or 5 for them, so
Yeah, I was actually looking up some, I think, hotel reviews or Airbnb reviews, something,
yeah,
and there was a person who put 4 stars instead of 5 because there wasn't a towel in his apartment or something.
that's
And for
reasonable.
me, that's it can be very reasonable, right? There's different people who have different opinions on things, and maybe for that person, 1 star is just for the towel. uh,
Yeah.
and for a lot of other people, maybe that won't matter and they would still give you 5 stars. But just the difference in how people think, I guess. um
Well,
yeah.
that is reasonable though. I mean, some people are just do like a 1-star. Oh, they didn't have a towel. I'm so offended. My shower experience was ruined because I didn't have a towel waiting for me when I walked out. So 1 star.
Right.
But for
Right.
knocking off a star, I guess that's kind of reasonable. But yeah, you're right. People have to be a lot more discerning these days because I think a lot of media has become very polarized too. Like a lot of things are kind of in content marketing in general. A lot of things kind of fall into like echo chambers. So like you really need to
Hmm.
evaluate and reach across the divide and kind of look at all the different sources and see how they connect. Right, even though they're coming from different perspectives, you could triangulate kind of maybe where the reality is based on all those opinions. So you don't kind of fall into one track or the other.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm also saying that this kind of like expert type of selling is gonna probably make a comeback or get on the rise, just because you're gonna have more of a problem solving aspect rather than product selling. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of like the basis of my opinion on that, I think.
And experts in terms of like onboarding experts too, are you referring to like helping, maybe doing like demos with customers to onboard them and like actually kind of hand holding them through the process and making it more personalized? Or you're talking about, more
Um,
thought leadership?
Understanding their challenges in a sense, and trying to connect that with the product or service that they're personally selling. So, there's nothing wrong with saying, "Oh, we can't help you." Um, it's more often than not, it's, "Oh, we can definitely help you," even though they know they can. So it's more about pushing your product or your service. But yeah, I was thinking more understanding the challenges a company is facing, and based on that, trying to find a custom solution, if it's possible to have a custom solution. If not, from the commodity sale, just include all of the things that that company in particular will want to see and will help them. So
Yeah. So what are your thoughts, I guess, on account-based marketing?
Um, yep. In general, account-based marketing and account-based selling is how we go about doing our prospecting. Uh, just reaching out to multiple people within an organization, I think is very beneficial. Just trying to get different perspective from different departments. So usually, I don't know. It largely depends on obviously the product and service and who's the buyer. But what we find is, for example, if we're selling something to salespeople, more often than not, marketers will be involved in the process, and probably someone from the C-suite, from just the leadership team, and getting their perspectives on their unique challenges tends to go a long way and helps push the deal forward much faster. So, salespeople will want something specific, marketers will want something else from that product,
Mhm.
and the owner or whoever it is might want something different as well. So you need to kind of like align all of those needs, all three of those needs, into how your solution can help all three of them. So yeah, I'm all for it. Just account-based sales and marketing, I think, is how everyone should go about selling.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, at the end of the day, I've always, justified the work that I do as a marketing person to create value for people and help them connect with you have you have this solution and they have a problem, and can you really help connect those people
Mhm.
with that solution in a meaningful way? But, communication is just one part of that, right? Communicating that you do have something of value to offer, but really, you're not in the right business if you're not selling the right product to the right person and actually helping their bottom line, helping that customer.
Oh yeah, that's actually one of the good questions to ask someone. How is this particular challenge affecting your bottom line? It's a very important one, so that it makes them think on, okay, I need to think about this more holistically than from a face value. Um,
Yeah, and do you
yeah,
feel like a lot
definitely
of
agree.
people try to sell I feel like they try to sell what they have instead of understanding the customer problem and really asking, good quality questions to really understand, if they're actually going to be able to help the customer and really actually care about the customer problem. Because if you could actually get to the core root of that, you could actually really position your product in the right way, in a meaningful way, to actually, communicate that value to them.
Mhm.
But it all comes from like being in the business of actually trying to help people, right?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. There's definitely a lot of feature spring out there. Um, I haven't been into a sales call where I was being sold in quite some time, so I can't say too much from personal experience, just from what's happening in the industry. But it's always easier to tell about you, yourself, your story, your product, your baby, right? Than actually listen to the other person and trying to get more, try to get more investigative to see where the actual challenge behind the challenge is,
Yep.
and then extract that and use one of the features potentially from your product or your service, and use that to kind of like connect the dots and create maybe even epiphanies in your prospects' minds.
Yep, absolutely. And what do you think in terms of creating a great pitch is really important, right? What do you think, makes for a compelling pitch and, something that can actually convert when you're communicating with a customer, sending them a cold email or a text, for instance?
Uh, just reduce the number of words. Just shorten the messaging. Anything anywhere between 50 to 60 words is probably the most that you need in an email, in a cold email, or even as just in general a cold call pitch. And the focus should always be on, this is what we personally use, kind of like a two-step approach, where the first step is trying to see if there's interest on the topic. Say that I don't know, maybe we're selling waste management services, and just trying to figure out if this is something that they want to discuss. And then what we usually do is we mention one or two clients where we were able to help them reduce the cost by X%, or create an X ROI percent for them, beneficial metrics, because no one really cares about what you do. It's how it would benefit them.
Yep.
So that's really kind of like the first step. Acknowledgement, see if they actually want to discuss on the certain topic. And then the later part is always about social proof. Okay, here's a case study on how we helped XYZ company do what I specifically mentioned. And then usually it's all about the follow-up. I think I saw somewhere that 80% of sales, it's pretty much just follow up, just
Yep.
being there all the time, top of mind, being professional, obviously, not putting too much pressure, and not putting enough pressure. doesn't go well. So just being quite professional, making sure that you're aligned with the prospect's schedule. We're all busy, especially when it comes to cold outbound. You're really calling someone in the middle of the day out of the blue, so
Mhm.
they might not they might not be as happy, or something might be happening in their world and it's not a good time. um, but yeah, the shorter the message, the better. Especially now with everyone using their phones, a lot of the times people they don't read, they just scan for specific words and
Yeah.
from that content. So the shorter it is, if they can see it on their notification tab, then that's going to be a good email. And the same goes with the cold call scripts. Really, just be genuine in your communication. When you open up the call, just say those couple of things, that hey, we do this, we helped someone like this, someone like yourself do this, and would you like to see a case study? And just continue the conversation further. Then comes the follow-up.
Yeah, I think you make a great point there. People don't have a lot of time, so you got to really get right to the point. That's where account-based marketing and all that kind of the personalization comes in, where it's
Mm,
like the right person with the right message, and it's short and concise. They get it right away. They're on board, right? And then the other aspect that you mentioned too about relevant case studies, I totally agree that I think people really really think in terms of examples. Like if they could see the success that you brought for somebody like them, they could really start to associate
oh yeah,
their business with that potential success that your solution could, uh, potentially provide to their business, right? So those
absolutely.
examples are critical.
Uh, Probably our biggest objection when we're selling to customers is, have you worked, or do you work with companies like myself? So just people want to feel safe, that to know that they're actually buying something that will work, or there's a high probability it will work, and that you have expertise in the field. So just that's why those case studies tend to be gold. And then later on, once you go into the conversation and start the negotiation process, there references also help, but those things come at a later stage. When it comes to just generating interest, I would say that just social proof, any type of thought leader content, that type of thing. YouTube videos as well on how the process works tend to work well, and yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's pretty much for me like the hiring questions I always have. Like whether it's hiring we're picking a solution for a company or hiring like an outside firm or even hiring an employee. It's usually my question is, what have you done or who have you worked with and what have you done for them, right? So have you worked with
Mhm.
somebody like a similar, you know, business or product similar to ours, and have you shown demonstrated results for those people? Because if they could do it for a similar product or business, they could likely do it for you as well.
I mean, we're talking here. This collaboration came from a partnership call. So if you look at it more under the microscope, there's a lot of sales happening just because of partnerships, just because of relationship building, because someone you work with recommended you, and now
Yeah.
that person has increasingly more trust in your process, because you know that